This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 929 for the week of Monday, August 3rd, 2026. My name is Steve.
And my name is Sam.
Sorry, I'm kind of like throwing you off. I know you like doing your own anime
Well, it's just
recap
like I'm
intros
trying to
here.
think if I've ever done the host intro like that.
No, not that I'm aware of, but I think you would know more than me. But yes, it's an off week for the manga. And we have a ton of anime episodes we've never talked about. So why not take advantage of this break and discuss that LBF anime that everyone describes as so hype? And I don't know. I'm old. I'm not online like that. I don't know what people are saying, but what?
Yeah, I finally deleted Twitter off my phone, so I'm not even getting that stuff anymore.
Good on you. Yeah, Twitter these days is like, this person posted for the first time in a while, and I kind of see a notification like that. I'm like, they caved. But if you like other social media, please follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky. That's where we're mostly posting these days, and posting episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I don't know why I'm doing the plugs now, but I'm being a podcaster here. But Sam, why don't you tell the people out there what we're covering today?
All right, today we will be covering first and foremost we will be covering One Piece Heroines, the sort of one-off special adapting the one of the chapters from the One Piece Heroines novel. This one, specifically the one centered on Nami. And then we're going to do some anime recap catch up. So as of right now, we are, I think, 8 episodes behind. We will cover 4 of them today, and then hopefully we'll catch up on the rest in due time. It's just so exhausting watching 10 episodes in a row and taking notes on all of them. That was a task last time.
For sure, and especially I don't know how you're going to feel about this batch of episodes, but I feel a certain way, but maybe it's just seeing things that I've always been there, or maybe, seeing things that I've never been there, but we'll get into that as we discuss the episodes. But really nothing else to cover. Do you want to just jump right into it?
All right, let's jump into One Piece Heroines, not to be confused with the drug.
The drug of choice.
I know,
it's so much merchandise these days,
This is about female heroes, or more specifically, one female hero, and that's Nami. This is from the original novel by Jun Asaka, and this is an adaptation of the Nami chapter. Obviously, first up, very striking visual style. They are mimicking the illustrations from within that book. I wrote the author's name, but I didn't write the illustrator's name. But it's like, drawing the characters like how a fashion artist would draw on their sort of model dolls, or whatever they call those.
And these kind of initially,
it's a very striking, very appealing style. It's different from your fan letters where that's very cartoony and squashed, and this is. It's going for a minimalism in the actual designs themselves, but they're not really, they're not chibi, they're not super squashy or stretchy or cartoony. It's more about how the clothes look.
The artist's name from the original illustrations is Sayaka Suwa.
Thank you.
And those initially debuted in the One Piece magazine. Before these were all compiled, and I love a lot of these designs here. The Tashigi one being one of my favorites.
I think I think Robin's just looks great.
No, they're a ton of fun. I have not read any of the novel. I think the one time I was in a store and I wanted to buy it, they only had like the second volume, so.
Yeah, I haven't felt the inspiration to buy and read the novels so far.
And is the Ace spinoff out already, or is that like
Yeah,
later
we
this
had the
year?
Ace ones in English. We have, I think, the
Sorry,
Heroines
no,
one is in English.
the law. I meant.
I don't think we have the Law one yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So the episode opens with Nami in her study. She's drawing up her maps, which is a thing we don't get to see as often as we'd like to in the main story. And she's kind of singing a song to herself about shoes. She's just like how much she loves walking in her shoes, and there's a lot of close-ups of her kind of bouncing her feet, and we see these very bejeweled high heel blue heeled shoes. And this is happening alongside a crew of like very dapper looking pirates who are attacking the Thousand Sunny. They're anchored like right next to the Sunny, and they're trying to invade. But
which is
obviously
another
the
thing we
Straw
don't
Hats are
see much anymore. Is
just like random pirates, or
which
like
usually was
ship to
just
ship battle.
which was usually just in the anime openings anyway. So it's always been kind of like a non-canon thing, but it's a very pirate thing. So I kind of like when the anime has to make up their own material, they just go back into that well and just remind us that this is a pirate show.
And yeah, the Straw Hats are all fighting off the guys, but they're making a very deliberate choice in the visuals not to directly show any of the Straw Hats, the male Straw Hats. Like Nami and Robin
Yes.
are present characters, but anytime the guys are around, like there's something obscuring their face, or they're just kind of out of frame, or but there's still a very like intense, very stylish battle going on. We got Sanji doing Diablo Jamba, Luffy's doing Gum Gum attacks, but they're very periphery. And some of the pirates barge into Nami's study, and they're like, "Oh, thank God, it's just a woman. We can escape through here," which makes no sense because they're like at the entrance already. So I don't know where they're escaping to. But Nami takes offense to just a woman, and she stands up and takes Zeus out, and blows him out of the room. And Nami is scolding them for trying to take her jewelry, and she's like, looking at all the loose jewels and bracelets and what have you, laying on the deck. And as she's having this cool moment, she slips, and her heel goes flying off her shoe. And we can just
Not before she declares herself as in the third person as cat burglar Nami, which is not something she does often. That's why this feels like a very much like a spin-off, kind of almost like a fanfic in a way, where it's like the characters are saying their names and their epithets in a way that they never do, other than Luffy.
Yeah, that's true. But does Luffy call himself
Luffy
Straw Hat Luffy? Like he would respond to it, but like he doesn't need to give himself a nickname like that.
I think it was more like just name. Usopp is probably the guy though who always says,
Yeah. But even Usopp doesn't call him. Does Usopp call himself God Usopp? I think he's
no.
He's a little squeamish about that one.
Captain.
So she slips. Robin is just kind of off in the distance watching. That brings us to this big One Piece Heroines title card. And so Nami, she needs to turn her. We're just kind of like breezing past the rest of the battle with the pirates. She's now at the store where she got her shoes, which is like this big fancy high end place. And she's kind of scolding this clerk, trying to get a replacement or trying to get a refund. Nami insists that the shoes should have been better quality because they are from the Lebanon Lebno Listach brand.
Lebno Listach.
And they have a motto
Shock.
where they advertise their shoes as shoes you can fight in. But Nami wanted to take that literally, and the shoes weren't keeping up.
What I like, such a funny, the pretty shoes you can fight in. It almost feels like it's an answer to like, it's like, why is Nami can't run around in heels like that or fight. I don't know. The concept.
Apparently, if they're just better fit.
Yeah, the concept felt funny to me, but I like that there's just like I get a sort of like an in canon kind of answer to this. Is some people like there's designers out there that make high heels that you could
For
fight in.
fighting. Yeah,
It just
there's a sort of fantastical contrivance.
yeah, it felt like something silly, like like dude wipes, like how like there's like they make like like cleaning products for men because I guess men are afraid to like clean themselves or else they're like accused of being gay or something.
Hmm.
It's just like fighting shoes for girls. It kind of felt like some weird kind of flip on that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Weird that very flawed brain thing. Uh, guys,
Uh-huh.
clean up. You can wash your face. It's fine. You're supposed to be clean. Clean up.
We got Mr. Fancy Pants Lebno-san himself, a man voiced by Takahito Koyasu, the Dio Brando Aokiji voice.
Okay, yeah. I
Uh,
never looked it up, but I could hear I could pick up on that voice immediately. So
and yeah,
and,
he shows up. He's talking himself up. He's like, "Oh, my shoes are so great. You're, I'm, you should be happy with what you bought." And Nami is just continuing to very bluntly request the replacements for the shoes that the clerk is denying her. And Lebno tries to make a deal with her. He's like flirting with her, putting his hand out, being like, "Oh yeah, I'll make some, specially designed shoes just for you if you, like he's probably gonna say like go on a date it with me or something." But then like the screen cuts to black, and we just hear like the slap sound effect, implying that she is slapping his hand.
good. Immediate
Um,
creep vibes from this.
and there's a lot of so I noticed sort of a directing or like a pacing trend with this special is this uh is this theme of intercutting conversations that happen. Like we're in one conversation, then we jump ahead to another conversation, and then we jump back to the
Mm-hmm.
old conversation. They're sort of like, it's like almost like two different conversations from different points
It's
in
like the
time getting like
it's like the
zippered
heist
together.
movie where they're talking about the plan and then like but you're already seeing it acting out, so you don't have to see a scene of exposition of them
Right.
discussing the plan, and then
Well,
it's redundant because then they're
yeah.
doing it. Um. Also, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever worked retail, Sam, but like huge retail like trauma, coming up in this. When I wouldn't say Nami's in the wrong here, but I like how retail employees are just weird. You're just pawns that are just in the way of trying not to give money back to someone before ultimately your manager comes out and then just bends the knee, and then you just
Yeah, you look
the
like a
standard employee just looks like an asshole.
yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah, so we're interconnecting between Nami and Lebno's conversation, and then later Nami talking to Robin about like why she's, tentatively making this deal with him and what her real plan is.
mhm.
And like every time we cut to a different part of the Nami and Robin conversation, they're like out in the town doing something different. And we got like Sanji just very happily running alongside them with a big stack of boxes, conveniently blocking his face.
Mhm.
Um,
This
and
is
then back,
them like at like the cafe, right? They're sitting outside.
yeah. Well, there's a cafe, and then there's also parts where they're like kind of like walking down the sidewalk.
Yeah, because
And
there's like a
then
moment where Sanji like delivers them drinks. It's pretty funny.
there's back in the Lebno scene. There's a moment of Nami recognizing the bracelet around his wrist being the one that was stolen from her earlier, which is
Hmm.
her tell that he's in cahoots with the pirates who they were fighting off earlier. So she kind of like understands that his deal is he has got pirate friends who steal jewels, and then he kind of plays the jewels off like they're his. Um, but she's keeping that card close to her chest because she's gonna make she's got a scheme with Robin about it.
And we call them the scalper pirates.
Yeah, yeah. How do brands work in this world where like there's all this jewelry that you could pass off as yours, but there's also like a network of designer brands that are popular.
What are the pirates burying? That's what.
Um,
Guess it's like older jewelry, I guess. I don't know.
and yeah, and
Someone,
Lebno's like showing off. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I've got this collection of great things I'm about to debut," and Nami is just looking at all of them like, "Yep, that's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's my toe ring. That's my thing. That's my bracelet. That's my yeah."
mm,
And then back at the hotel room, Nami and Robin are making their plan to team up against him. And there's a very cute scene where like they're just getting very comfortable, and Nami's like rolling on her side, and they're like reaching out and they're holding hands and they're making a deal. And then now another scene of so because the store has agreed to make specially designed shoes for Nami, the woman, let's see, what was her name again? It's Mucha. She's the desk clerk from earlier. She's now, taking Nami's measurements, and we get a little monologue on the inside of her head, kind of suggesting that she's jealous that Nami's beauty is getting her all this attention from Lebno and getting her all these free things. Um, but very quickly warm up to each other, Nami and Miucha. And Nami's just very pleased with the fit of her new shoes. Little montage of of many occasions of them trying out different outfits and footwear that takes place over a 2 week period. And eventually,
God, two
Miucha,
weeks.
yeah, eventually Miucha is confessing that she's the one who actually does all the shoemaking. That
Mm,
she's the craftsman of the shop, and the brand's shoes are have been prioritizing design over quality of the leather. And that's like kind of the main distinction. That's like the quality of the leather is the reason why Nami can't fight in her shoes, and they can't use the high quality leather because Lebno is prioritizing like the aesthetic, the glam and the glitz. And so
he,
part of the
he,
plan involves
he
Robin
used to be about the
stealing.
fashion, man. He used to be about the
It
fashion.
used, yeah, it used to be about the fashion. We have a scene of Robin stealing a security officer's clothes so she can like spy on the security room and steal some of the snails, the little tiny
Very,
portable snails.
very reminiscent of like G8.
Hmm.
It's because we don't get filler arcs anymore, so it feels like this special is kind of going back in the well. It's like, oh, what are some things that work great? Fighting other pirates, Robin being a spy, um, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Backstage before a big showing, Lebno and Mucha are in the back, and he's scrutinizing the new shoes that she's made for Nami, and he thinks that the sturdier leather has made them too plain, and he um and then this is also cross-cutting, so it's like a little hard to even like follow like which
Yeah,
scenes are happening where because they're like jumping back and forth in time so much. But there's a part where Lebno is showing Nami this big chandelier of jewels, like the all the stuff he's stealing and passing off as his own. He's also kind of collecting this big giant chandelier. And then that's Nami's cue to sneak a message to Robin saying that she should target the ceiling for their big grift. And at the same time, the guard she stole the uniform from, he's back up. He's like in his boxers and tank top, and he's barging into the security room and alerting the guards that there's been a breach. And then back in the backstage scene, Lebno is smacking the box of shoes off of the table, just being like a proper jerk. And we have like this like color pencil style memory of Lebno and Mucha starting their business, and it's just like very night and day compared to how the business is being conducted now. It's like they're equal partners. They almost
hmm,
like were they dating at the time? Are they dating now? Like what is their arrangement? It's like they started this company but it's only been his name, and over time his emphasis on design over function has dominated the business. And he's like putting her down, saying she's just an assistant, just like how the pirates were saying Nami was just a woman.
Mm.
Not a single letter of your name is part of the brand. Uh, which maybe
Uh,
she should have anticipated that when they started the company.
I mean, there's a
Um,
few. I mean, yeah, C and
yeah,
H
I
are
mean,
in
if you want
there.
to get like
There's a
literal with
there's an A.
English
There's
letters,
an A.
um,
Maybe he's referring to kanji. I don't know.
Mucha is bringing some red shoes to Nami, and she's like insisting like you have to wear these shoes, and Nami's being kind of indignant, but Mucha is kind of attacking her on this. She's like, listen to what people say for once. She's got tears in her eyes. She's like, you're so stubborn. You're so like, you're so used to just getting your way. But
And Nami's like,
then
oh no. It's, in fact,
the,
I got a childhood that'll turn you white.
yeah, she's like, I can't, I need your help too. So the girls got to work together. They need each other's
Yeah.
help. But Mucha is at this point still very much out of the loop on
Mm.
who Nami really is and what she's planning with Robin. So yeah, there's some fashion show like catwalk stuff. Like there's some prominent like very gender non-conforming guests at the front. Like it doesn't even feel quite right to call them cross-dressers. Like it just kind of they're.
No, no.
I was taken aback that
But
the bearded one was the one who had like the feminine voice,
but
and then
yeah,
the
I
the
think some very positive queer representation in
Mhm.
this. I, and it's saying a lot considering like what One Piece has had in the past. It's been a mixed
Right.
bag to say the least, and to have characters like this represented in this way, and it's not a joke at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very straightforward.
yeah, I mean they're there in the front row. They're just admiring everything. It's no piss is taken out of them. I thought that was one of the biggest positives coming out of this special for sure.
Mhm. So Nami is now taking her turn on the runway, but in her mind, she's now back to complaining about the comfort of the shoes because the red shoes are just kind of like digging into her foot. And so she takes out her Climatect and she's summoning like these bubbles that are kind of distracting people, but also they're kind of part of the scheme. Um, and so Nami and Robin end up having to fight off the security guards at their own levels. Like Nami's kind of on the ground floor, Robin's up on this balcony area that's sort of circling the stage. And just like at the beginning of the episode, Nami trips and falls, and has to call out for Miucha to help her. And then we get an insert song to play us out for the remainder of the episode. This is "Blue Shining Star" by by Ina the End, which is the same band doing the opening of Elbaf right now.
Mm.
And like Mucha like strides through. She's kind of power walks and shoulder checks Lubdo. She's showing him what's what now. And very dramatically has a big dramatic moment of her tossing the comfortable blue shoes to Nami to catch and wear for the fight, just in time for Robin to summon a big giant hand that kind of works as a ramp up to her level. Nami's now running up the arm, so Miucha gets to kind of see her shoes being fought in. And Nami's using her Thunderbolt tempo to take out the guards that Robin is now unable to take care of because she's giving Nami the lift, so they're kind of working together. And so then Robin's hands elsewhere are like turning a big valve, so the lights turn off, and the big whatever they were holding the chandelier up with, she's got her hands kind of taking them off the walls so that the chandelier can be dropped. And it drops and it's about to fall on the crowd, but then it starts to lift up because like the bubbles are giving it lift. Um, and Nami has to call Lebno out one last time before they get away with all the jewels on the chandelier. She's like, "Oh, you're the one stealing jewels with the help of pirates." And then everybody in the crowd's like, "Is that true?" And then that will, I guess that's gonna lead to his ultimate comeuppance.
It's like
And
Scooby-Doo villain reveal.
like it just seems so quaint in the grand scheme of things.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, they get away, they get their jewels back, and then some. Nami is admiring her shoes. We got lots of close-up shots of her feet, if you're a feet guy. And Robin is reading like the newspaper uh, about Mucha's new company that is under her own name, and that's alongside a story about Lebno getting arrested for, I guess, working with the pirates. And then yeah, that's playing over the credits rolling, and then the kind of the final, I guess the post credits stinger is Perona passing by the old Lebno store and lamenting because she loved their design so much. Which is interesting because like she is somebody who does not need to run in her heels,
No,
so she gets to just
but
appreciate the designs for the
but
design.
she does want to look good. So,
All right. Any closing thoughts on One Piece heroines, Steve?
it was something unique and refreshing for like a break week for a special. I kind of like when Toei will be like, well, why don't we do something different, and something that doesn't have to be like a 2 hour TV special, but like I'm thinking of like the Romance Dawn special from years ago where it was based off
Mm-hmm.
of one of Oda's original pitches. So like I'm always excited for something like this. The story was like very, even though there's like them fighting pirate stuff, it still felt very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
um but I appreciate it kind of tackling things like, I don't know, there's like, it's women defeating misogyny. You gotta love it. But there is a lot of that, and like there was like a moment too. I don't think that got brought up, but just Nami insisting that she wanted Mucha to design her stuff, like not like Lebno. Um, that happened, right? I'm not going crazy. Is there something she's like, I want
Oh,
her to do it, right?
uh, I don't remember exactly the
Or just
structure.
like
That
work with
sounds
her or
this
something.
something similar.
Yeah,
Um,
there's just a lot of just girls building each other up, and I think I do like that it was kind of like it was like a feminine kind of story. It was related to just fashion. It didn't try to just put these characters into like the mold of like or a farming shonen crap. It was
mhm.
just something else, and it was still like endearing, and it looks beautiful. And Nami's voice actress did a spectacular job. I think it was scenes with her and Robin just talking because they seem like good friends. But there was chemistry there, and I'm glad when Toei wants to make some original stuff. It's kind of just expanding upon these characters. Like stuff like that always works instead of just trying to outdo Oda at his game and trying to make some sort of big story. So, um, yeah, like I wasn't blown away by it, but I
Hmm.
did enjoy it. I would love to see them do more. I should read Heroines and kind of see what other stories there are, but I wouldn't mind them take another crack at this. But I wonder if they would, because unless like if Toei would have cold feet about doing any stories that's not about Robin or maybe Vivi. Like I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know which excuse me. I don't know which characters have stories.
Yeah, it's very much the kind of thing that you want to see more of. Like it's a different kind of perspective on the One Piece world. It's a nice kind of refreshing take and tone. And it's fairly strongly executed for what it is. I'm trying to think of like what would take it up a notch. Like what would make it like an A plus rather than just like a, oh yeah, that was nice.
I think the story would just
I
have to
don't
be a
know.
little more spectacular. It
Yeah,
was very grounded,
yeah,
which I
the
think like
because it's like the conflict is so quaint,
yes,
and the resolution is so quaint, and it's mostly just even saying girl power doesn't feel right because it's so much more muted than that. Like in terms of like
it's
emotional catharsis.
yeah. I feel like well, at least like I remember it not having being so in your face and being at least like a little subtle. Not
Mhm,
it's like it's not just saying the thesis right out there. It's between the
mhm,
lines. One Piece is tough because now it has such like a strict canon, especially
mhm,
in the time skip, where you just can't like things with huge stakes. Like, how could you like wedge those in anymore? Especially
right.
make them feel believable. Because even with the movies, it's like, well, I know what arcs this takes place between two, so nothing serious is going to happen. So often it just relies on raising the stakes with the exclusive characters. Like I
Mhm.
think of like Film Z and like Film Red. Not so much, yeah, like where it's not really going to affect the main characters all that much. So
Yeah, and then I had put some feelers out in our in our podcast Discord, just looking for opinions from other crew members. And Kirsten Carey wanted us to pass along her comment from Discord, where her review was Heroines feels like a bunch of men got into a boardroom in 1994 and were like, "What do women like? Shoes, right? They like shoes and jewelry." So it sounded like she was not super warm on the special.
well, yeah, like I don't know who wrote this story. Is it all the same? Is it all the same art? Wow,
I
my
believe
my
it's the
words.
same writer because there's one writer attributed to the collected volume.
Okay, so it's all by the same author here. Um, I look like such a schmo here, but it's written by a woman.
Yeah,
But I
June
wonder if it was,
Asaka.
yeah, but I just wonder if it was kind of just you know the higher ups at Shueisha. It's like we need it to appeal more to women,
Mhm.
uh, and
It,
maybe
it
just
it it
over correcting too much.
yeah, I don't know because like an interesting point of comparison that I found myself drawn to was like how the like Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, like the director of that series, like loves fashion so much that he actually like got some of the characters like into Louis Vuitton and like like the weird relationship that Final Fantasy has with fashion and how it like has a genuine interest in being a part of our real fashion world versus this which is like about fashion but like like a person who is not invested in fashion could have written it, right? And like how that kind of has a very different feeling attached to it.
I've also
Anyway,
been I've also been told that the women were beautiful in this
you've
per
been
someone
told
else's
that?
review. I've been told to say that.
Who? Wait, can I ask who told you to say that?
I've been instructed by someone say uh, women are beautiful.
I don't disagree. All
And
right.
that's what it's all about.
All right. 11. Okay, so do you want to move on to the proper anime recap catch up now?
The canon story of One Piece. Yes,
Yes,
let's
we're
do it.
back. We're back into boys being boys.
Yeah.
Get a little testosterone in here, Steve.
Let's say like the first episode of this batch though is not that, but I would say if it started with like this big feast that we're going like, yeah, boys. But
I mean, like most of
we
these
can get in
episodes are
that.
like the boys being disappointed that children are not
That it feels like the family barbecue
Uh-huh.
is the vibe of this batch of episodes
Yeah.
where it's like all the cousins are just all the kid cousins are out playing somewhere. All
Mhm.
the adults are just getting drunk and just talking about like, oh, you met this guy, you know this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But
Episode 1163, Saul's Resolve, The Inherited Will of Ohara. And this is adapting chapter 1134. And it opens with the babang of kind of old classical Japanese music as Luffy is squatting, putting his hand out, doing the Yakuza pose. He says, I heard you helped out one of my people. Thank you so much. And he's, giving the formal, like, thank you to Saul for saving Robin. The crew is amused
J-
by the gesture. They're like, where'd you get this idea from? And then, like, we all turn to stare at Jinbei.
Jubei's like, I taught him that.
Um, and Luffy says it's a in the English subtitles it says Luffy says it's a pressure to meet you, and then the crew has to scold him and say it's supposed to be pleasure. And Robin smiling and beaming, telling Saul that I've really found them. They'd do anything to protect me, and then that those words just jab everybody straight through the heart. I think that this scene is funny of Lilith flying in on her rocket boots and being like, "Hey, Saul, it's me. You know me. You know, you don't know my face, but you know me." Uh, and Saul is very confused by this. He does not recognize her as Vegapunk, but he does know Vegapunk.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get into this whole ordeal of so Lilith had asked Jinbei off screen at some point here to haul in this big giant weird fridge thing, uh, and everybody is shocked to learn that what's inside is a perfect Vegapunk clone. So it's different than the satellites. It's like a clone of Stella. Like it's a way of bringing the Vegapunk back to life. Uh, so who knows where that's going? Uh,
Dude, beats me.
Lilith is expressing her plan to live on Elbaf and make a new lab here. I like this scene of Saul and Angie, who's like the librarian woman, school teacher woman, uh, basically practicing for this moment of Saul and Robin's reunion, where Saul begins the reunion with his face in the water in the on the beach, and apparently they had to do a couple takes, and we get like an animated little like movie clapboard for like take one, and but
Yeah.
but Saul got water up his nose, and take two. Angie is running from too far of a distance, and take three. Angie steps on Saul's hand.
That's pretty
Uh,
cute.
yeah, Angie is offering to show the library to the crew, but Luffy and Usopp they're already running off and exploring. We are introduced to the Walrus School, which is like a training school for all the little young warriors? Question mark.
We'll
And
get into that.
yeah, it's a school that Saul opened at the former king's request. So the crew splits between those who want to go and check out the school and those who want to go to the library. And Frankie is much more interested in the giant tree because he has his connection to that, obviously.
Built a ship out of it.
I thought it was interesting that this episode does not have a normal eye catch. It just kind of puts the One Piece logo in the corner and then cuts to black and then we're back.
I guess it's just too much content in this episode.
I suppose.
It's like, yeah. It's like we want to end it at a good point, so we'll just sacrifice that night catch, which I think is a fair play to make.
I'm just like surprised that I can't think of any other time I've seen it done that way.
I feel like it's happened more like in the modern era, not so like way back in the past, but I feel like they've done that a few times.
So we have Luffy and Usopp are hanging around some of the young giant children, and like the the girls are scolding the boys for calling the humans puny. They're getting offended on the humans' behalf. Um, and we're getting adjusted to this idea that kids of this generation in Elbaf are quite gentle and quite sensitive, and like you have Usopp getting like Paris syndrome over the fact that the kids don't want to grow up to be warriors. Um, like Paris syndrome, where people go to Paris and they're so disappointed by the reality that they become depressed.
I've
Uh,
never heard of that.
uh, they hear a woman's voice explaining that it's because being a warrior isn't cool anymore. No kid today is going to find that cool. And we discover where this woman is because the ground starts to move under us, and Luffy falls between her boobs, and she's just like laying under the tree. And this is Ripley, the biology teacher of the Walrus School.
It's
And,
just I guess there's just not a giant woman in this series that Luffy will not land on the chest of. It's fate.
it's like the least offensive person who could fall into somebody's boobs.
I guess so. I think maybe Chopper, might be
Yeah.
up there. But Luffy's so just like unbothered by that stuff. He's like, oh,
Mhm.
here I am.
And she's relaying the words of King Harold, who said, "Let us choose trade over war." And we get into how Harold was a great king who tried to reform the country, but his dream was cut short when he was killed by his son. Ripley is a little disappointed to meet Luffy, but Luffy is not in his white outfit, and Luffy has to explain like, "Oh, that's just how I look when I'm free." And she's relaying to him that they have a warrior in Elbaf mythology who looks like him and has Luffy's demeanor. Saul is leading Robin and the others into the library. Robin's entering the library with like a book clutched to her chest in both arms, but then it starts to like magically grow and turn huge, and she can no longer carry it. Um, and so when you walk into this library, things just turn huge all of a sudden, but Robin is moved to tears by the sight of all of Ohara's books, which are they got damaged, they got burned, they got wet, but they're still here, and Saul has taken care of them and collected them. Back in the underworld, we have a very interesting scene of Loki speaking to his what would you call it? It's not a pen pal if it's over the phone, but it's like a
His online friend.
yeah, his internet friend, his Discord bud. He's speaking to somebody named
His oomph.
Shaggy, and he's telling Shaggy, "Oh, you got too much time on your hands to be talking to me all the time." And then the voice that's coming through on the other side of the snail is very garbled. It's hard to uh, really make out the gender of the person, or the you can kind of get a sense of the person's demeanor though. And
Yeah.
like certain things that we've discussed about that we learn later are starting to become quite apparent here. Um, yeah, and they're speaking through a special like snow resistant transponder snail. And Loki's like, "Oh, and how's that really scary situation you were in recently?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, that was very scary."
She.
Uh, yeah, I'm making assumptions. I'm going for it. I'm allowed to
I feel
believe
like,
what I want to believe. What?
especially after these anime episodes, I feel like you're valid. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Actually, yeah, yeah. Loki and Shaggy, they've never met in person, but they've been friends for a long time. Loki is giving Shaggy advice about how you gotta kill your enemies so they don't come back for revenge. But Shaggy is can't help but find a certain kindness behind his harsh words. Elsewhere, back at the big abandoned castle, there's a lightning pentagram forming, and some mysterious cloaked figures have arrived. And one of these cloaked figures is somebody who looks an awful lot like Shanks. But throughout these episodes, they will make sure that his hood is always bent, so you're never like seeing his scarred eye. Episode 1165: A Welcome with Friends, Cups, and Intruders Seeking Loki. I feel like the English title for this episode needed a second pass.
Friends seeking cups.
Friends Seeking Cups and Intruders Seeking Loki. Feels
Seems like an ad in a paper. What's the classic meme? The one where they turn into a movie. Safety not guaranteed. That's how it reads to me.
Yeah. So this is adapting chapter 1135. We've got Bonnie and Chopper reading a giant book and looking up to see the giant owl Biblo looking over the scene. The owl is what's enlarging the books in the library with the grow fruit. Chopper's really interested in reading the medical books from Elbaf, but anything that was already giant before entering the library won't shrink when he takes them out of the library. So he's doesn't have a whole lot of options for reading them. Luffy is roughhousing with the children. He's pushing the swing too hard. He's trying to get it to go all the way around, and the children are very scared, and so is Usopp. And Nami beats them up for it, even though Usopp wasn't really doing anything. And the children go running scared to Gerd for comfort. And one of the kids face plants right into Gerd's chest and is making the Momonosuke face back at Sanji. The kids are playing and everything seems peaceful, but this means that Luffy and Usopp are very bored. But they find some kinship with one of the kids, Cullen, who's coming at them swinging with a wooden sword. He wants to play rough. But Luffy very, very easily just like puts some armament honky on his hand and just breaks the sword, and then jumps into the air and then does a gum elephant gun into the ground right in front of the boy, and just creates a commotion and startles all the kids, and now everyone's afraid of Luffy. But Ripley comes in to compliment Cullen's sword swing. She, even though she was just telling us a moment ago about how the kids here, they don't like violence, they don't like war, but that's my boy. So this boy Cullen is the son of Ripley, and then we get into the fact that Cullen's father is a human, and Sanji perks up. He's very interested about this possibility. And Ripley is explaining how Cullen's dad is younger than her, but because he's human, he's aging faster than her, so he's like an old man now, and he doesn't want to officially get married for that reason. So they're a common law marriage. And Luffy
story.
Yeah. Luffy's group meets back up at the library. And now they're deciding if they want to split and stay in the library or go to the big banquet that the giants are throwing. Lilith is off to get her residence permit. I like that. That's a detail we get to think about. And Gerd is very, she's like putting her fingers together, blushing very shyly, asking for a favor. And she wants the crew to try on some of her human-sized clothing. And this is how the rest of the crew, Brooke, Frankie, Robin, Jinbei, they're all getting into their Viking gear now. And Frankie's asking like, why do you even have clothes in our size? And Gerd is confessing that she makes little human clothes as a hobby, but I'm not in a weird way like the other guy.
She's not like a sick freak like Roto.
And then that brings us to the eye catch of the episode. And then at the banquet, we got all of our various giant friends telling stories from Little Garden and Ennis Lobby. And I think these are very nicely redrawn kind of stills, flashing back to those arcs. And I like this detail of the giant pouring drinks into like Zoro and Jinbei's mugs, but he like has to be very careful, so it's just like one drop that comes in.
One little drop. It's almost like he should have used like an eyedropper. You know? 'Cause that's what it felt like. It was just like one little bead.
Yeah.
I like how like I think Jinbei says like, yeah, one's enough. Yeah.
Uh, we are reuniting with Stanson, who was the giant from the human auction on Sabadi. Which if I knew this at one point, I forgot it. I didn't
Oh,
realize that he was that guy.
I think I remember knowing that for a long time. I think since like the Straw Hat Grand Fleet cover story,
Hmm.
because when he was name dropped, I think at that point that like Stanson, he was already named like I
Hmm.
think like in a data book or something like that. So I remember that at the time being like, oh, this is the guy. Um, but I
Yeah.
think it was, and I think this is in the manga too. But I think this was definitely worth taking the time to emphasize. Like, yeah, this is the guy. But at least like it feels kind of like, it feels like it's intertwined into the story well enough because then like Harden's like, yeah, so you well, like Stan says, like, yeah. So when Howard told me like that we were sworn allegiance to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I know. It's like I know that guy. That guy's oomph.
Yeah, the
I'm all
beard
for
gives him
this.
such a different character.
He does, yeah, and definitely like he was colored in the anime like slightly different with like
Yeah,
black
he had like a
hair too.
black.
But
It wasn't a full beard back 2 years ago.
no, but even with like without color, yeah, they almost they don't look alike at all. So
Mhm. Yeah, and Yarul arrives. He is the oldest giant at 408 years old. Um, and back at the abandoned castle, some of the giant guards are discovering the hooded figures, and they're wondering how they got into the castle at all. They shouldn't be able to do that. And the lady hooded figure is like, we're looking for Loki. And the giants are like, what? We can't bring it to Loki. And then that turns into the giant. It's not clear what's happening to him from our point of view here. He just kind of like his eyes go white and his arm gets twisted back and his axe gets like cut and he's like falling on the ground. And the lady's like, I wasn't asking a question. I was ordering you to answer me. And then that brings us to 1166, Encountering Loki, Gunko of the Knights of God. And this is adapting chapter 1136. Luffy thinks it's remarkable that moose tastes like dinosaur. And they're eating the moose that Haruden and Stanson killed and took back. I think it's very funny
it
to
wasn't this
be.
like the T Rex with antlers
Yeah, like
from like Strong World
it's more of
today.
a yeah, it was more of a, like a lizard, like some big lizard moose monster.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why.
I think it's really funny for Luffy to have a familiarity with what dinosaurs taste like, and then to be surprised by what moose tastes like. Um, the giants are circling around Usopp, who's telling stories about fighting oars. They're like, "Oh, we know that guy." A couple of giants are fascinated by Jinbei because they've never seen a fishman before. They're like, "Wow, your skin's so blue," and Jinbei has a big smile on his face, like, "Yeah, I am blue." Um,
Like, it's like fishmen and merfolk come in all different colors, like a rainbow.
and one of the giants is asking him, like, "Oh, is it true that the mermaids are beautiful?" And Sanji has to make it absolutely clear in no uncertain terms. Of course, they are. And I, I find Nami's very she has like this kind of half-lid scowl looking at Sanji as he's doing going on about the mermaids. Like it looks like the we paused a awkward frame because like she's got like one eye just sort of like leering at Sanji and like one eye looking normal. Somebody's asking Brook what he is, and then he takes that as his cue to play his song, the "What Am I Blues." And I think there's a very cool and very detailed drawing of like Brook like leaning into the camera as he's like putting his glasses on, he's putting on his show. And the background goes dark just in time for Roto's hands to clamp over the edge of the table and jump
Oh,
scare
this
Nami
guy.
as he's kind of begging for forgiveness. And Gerd is over his shoulder scolding him. Zoro is taunting Roto, saying that like, oh, if Usopp hadn't told us to avoid fighting you back then, we would have cut your head off. And then Gerd's doing like the hand gesture like neck slice thing, like you can kill him next time. And the conversation changes then to Harold and Loki, and how they are, they both kind of their downfalls were that they were, trying to be like the sun god, but tragically failed. And Luffy asks if this means that Loki is a good guy, and all the giants in unison have to emphatically reject that idea. Like, no, he's the worst. He killed his dad. Uh, there's a reason we have him all chained up. Jarl was there when he was a witness to Loki killing Harold, and he suffered his head injury that at that time. And then Jarl has a very funny comment where he's like, "Well, thankfully I was wearing this helmet." But he's got the big giant sword going all the way through the helmet, all the way through his head. And even Luffy thinks that it's that the helmet wasn't doing much. So Luffy starts asking about Shanks because he's heard that Shanks was in the area recently. And the giants say, "Oh yeah, yeah, we know Shanks. I don't know where he went off to. He doesn't really tell us where he goes." And Luffy gets kind of a weird look on his face as he's now trying to find his opportunity to sneak away. And then that brings us to the eye catch of the episode. And we got Luffy sneaking around on one of the giants' porches, just trying to make sure the coast is clear. I don't think he really knows where he's going or what he's looking for. But Zoro catches up to him, and Luffy catches him up on his deal with Loki, just in time for the hooded figures in the underworld to be arriving in front of Loki. So Zoro and Luffy, they're off to find the key, and then Nami's voice catches them like, "Oh, do you even know where the key is? Like, do you even know where you're looking?" And there's kind of a funny moment where Zoro has frozen and his back, he's like keeping his back to the camera, not really responding. Like it's almost like he's embarrassed and he doesn't want to to respond to Nami, and Luffy is just kind of like looking around like, "Are you okay, buddy?" So now Nami's in the key search party, and she's basically blackmailing Roto into helping them get to the castle on their little flying boat thing.
As he
Uh,
deserves.
and Loki very enthusiastically rejects the Holy Knight's invite, and we see this. There's a lot of like dramatic, like kind of snow dust keeping the hooded figures on the ground kind of obscured, but we see this big white arrow emerge. And so now we're wondering like, oh, what is this for? And Gunko's cloak kind of comes off, and we get to see her full design. She's Gunko, Knight of God. A wolf is arriving to eat them, and Loki's like, "Ah, yes, good old wolf." But then the
I want to point
arrow.
something out real quick before
Mhm,
we go into this sequence.
mhm.
This is one of those moments where I felt like the adaptation from manga to anime was a little bit lazy,
Yeah.
because with the Gunko full body reveal, clearly it's the full body drawing from the manga,
Mhm.
but instead of like adapting it to frame it interestingly in
You
animation,
get all that dead space on the sides.
it's the draw. She's dead center in the frame and just all this dead space. they've done stuff like this before where it hasn't looked that bad, but this is the first time I noticed. I was like, you should have just done something completely different.
Or
A
just or just
panning
do, yeah, just do
shot,
the pan up is the normal.
yeah. Like even that, if they wanted to just still adapt that drawing,
Mhm.
just do a pan. But that if I kind of had to wag my finger at that. I thought that was kind of like the this looks kind of weird,
They need to invent
especially like in a widescreen format.
Mhm. Yeah, they need to invent like a type of 3D television that actually like expands beyond the borders of your TV to get to get some of these tall shots.
Right.
Um yeah, so we got Gunko and so the Gunko uses her arrow to like wrap itself around the wolf's neck and is basically suffocating it and lifting it into the air. And Loki is concerned because he's like, "Oh, that wolf is sort of my buddy." And the Notch Shanks guy is trying to bargain with Loki, like, "Oh, if we let the wolf go, will you join us?" And Loki has to just kind of smile maniacally at that, like his eyes are glowing through the bandages, which is a crazy look. And he's like, "Ah, sorry, I guess that wolf just has to die. I guess I'll just have to avenge him later. I will feed on that rage and destroy the world." Episode 1167, Shamrock appears, commander of the Knights of God. And this is chapter 1137. So we have Rodo and the Straw Hats landing at the castle, and they're kind of exploring. People haven't come to the castle since Harold died 14 years ago. But as Rodo is explaining this, he's like, "But that break in the door looks very fresh. What's up with that?" And Nami wants Rodo to give her and Zoro a ride in his hands, and she's getting her climatactile zappy, or like she's gonna like cattle prod him. And Luffy's just kind of running around in the background, just excited to have a new place to explore. They enter a big scary room with bones. There's lots of dead giants. Some of the giants have the horns.
I guess I'm so used to Brooke, that I'm like, it's like they still get creeped out by this, but I guess it is a giant skull. So
Right. It'd be kind of wild if like this room was big enough to have like an Onigashima sized skull in there. That would be quite the image.
oh yeah, that was an even bigger one.
They come across King Harold's portrait so that Rodo can give the lore of the scars on his head, because he's got these big splotchy scars on his bald head, and that's where his horns used to be that he tore off with his own hands. And because he felt like the ancient giant blood is a relic of Elbaf's shameful war history. And we also get the surprising knowledge that Haruden and Loki are half brothers, and that Haruden he's not considered to be a proper heir. His mom wasn't able to marry Harold because of like nationalism and racial purity, which Rodo seems to like even kind of indulge in. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, we gotta keep the giant blood pure. We got to keep the Elbaf blood pure, specifically, like giants from other regions." Uh, and Nami calls him out for being a bigot. Back at the village, we have Haruden declaring himself as the man who will be the king of the giants. So we're kind of getting a sense of what his kind of long term arc is supposed to look like as the illegitimate heir of the throne, who's undeterred and is going to be a leader of his people nonetheless. Luffy, he's found the knocked out guards from earlier that the Holy Knights took care of in the last episode. And then that brings us to the eye catch of this episode, and then we come back and Gunko is beating on Loki, skating on her arrows to kick him. Lots of great looking action shots here. Yeah,
Hmm.
these arrows are is such a bizarre power. It's such a abstract thing that could really be anything. But having having the animated motion, I think does a lot for it. And she's
Oh,
like,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. She's like skating on the arrows. Give it. She creates these like super tall, like they're not really high heels. They're just super tall boots. Um, like stilts. Um,
For some reason, yeah, it's
and like
interesting. I would
yeah, and
say,
like
yeah.
gauntlets. And
Put some goldfish in those stilettos.
um, and yeah, so Loki's catching on that the arrows chart the direction of her attacks because he's chained up. He can't really do much to stop him. So like even though the arrows are basically just showing exactly where her attacks are going to go, it's not like it matters because he can't move. Um, and we get a title card declaring her to be Saint Gunko Man family arrow fruit user. She's an arrow woman. And yeah, her attacks are looking cool. Um, it's like it just made me think of like imagine if they made a DS Bayonetta style game where you like draw the path of your attacks or something. Feels like that's what these arrows are making me think of. It feels like that's the kind of context that you'd want to see a power like this. And yeah, so she's beating on him, skating on the arrows. Like even and when she delivers her attacks, she's it's like kind of retreats back and then like gets to like walk coolly back towards him to intimidate him again before she goes for another attack. And she's got a big like almost like a big hydra of arrows coming out of her for her like big strong attack. And then the Knot Shanks finally tells her to cut it out, and he's like, "Let's change the tactics. Let's contact the Holy Land." He takes his hood off finally. He doesn't have Shanks's scars that he got from fighting Blackbeard back in the day. He is a different person. This is Saint Shamrock from the Figureland family. He's the son of Saint Garling Figureland. And he's
Yeah, and the
given this,
most,
yeah.
I was gonna say, the most soap opera plot line begins.
And Shamrock is monologuing about how they will bring the giant country under the world government once and for all. Dun dun dun. General thoughts on these 4 episodes, Steve?
Um, while they were good, it did kind of feel like, like a lot of them kind of just blurred together.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, we started, like, they introduce like big plot points, like per episodes. Like the first one is like, oh, the kids, aren't being raised to be warriors anymore. And then the second one is all about like the Nika worship and that everyone hates Loki. And then the third one is about, the murder of Harold and then the castle, potential treasure. And then like the last one is about, the reveal of Shamrock. And then like everything else kind of just like those feel big, but I don't know. To me, nothing ever felt like a big, like, oh, this is the nucleus, this is the core of this whole episode
Right,
that
like
felt so strong.
none of these
It,
episodes are strong singular episodes.
yeah, I know like we're in like a period of Elbaf where I think we're kind of setting the stage, but it just, yeah, like there was like, I don't know, like, and I hate to just like compare it to like old One Piece. I don't want to be that guy, but I was thinking like, well, like what's the difference between this and like early Skypiea, stuff like that. I don't know. I just felt like, at least like I was thinking of like Jaya. It's like, oh yeah, there's the episode where they show up, and then there's the next episode is the like
Meeting the
Bellamy
locals
and
and
like,
learning
and
the
then like the next
culture and
episode is like Bellamy beating him up, and then you have the Blackbeard speech, and then just like I felt like there was always momentum,
Mhm.
just moving forward. And this might just be a criticism of the arc more so than the anime, but I kind of just feel like, I don't know, it felt kind of stagnant or just very, I don't know. Like
Yeah,
it never really felt like there was a huge thing happening. Maybe for Loki, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I think if you're an anime only watcher, the knights showing up and then the Shamrock reveal is like a huge thing, but everything kind of just felt very, I don't know, like kind of just like low key. I, pun not intended, low key, but everything kind of just felt like oh okay, instead of like a whoa, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It,
it definitely strikes me that I think part of it is that I think we're just too far along into this series to be having these arcs where we're like just kind of chilling with the locals and learning the local culture and yeah, like if this was a middle arc,
yeah,
middle series arc, like all that stuff would feel appropriate. And now it's like, okay, do we have to go through this? Like how many more times will we go through this in the manga in before the end of the story? Like, is this the last one? Are we gonna get to Laugh Tale and we have to meet the locals there too, and learn all the local history and customs and
I've thought about this too, like kind of like where like is this like yeah, because after this it's gonna be it truly endgame. Yeah, there's no you know taking your sweet time to like soak in the culture.
Mhm.
But yeah, like at this point it does kind of feel like I don't know, like after like so many years of just everything like this is a big deal and we're in this country to help fend off this giant threat to just show up in Elbaf like yeah we're just hanging out and unaware yet of like a threat that's happening. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like for the stakes to be local at this point feels weird. But I enjoyed these episodes.
Yeah, they're
I
not
think they
it's
were yeah they're perfectly functional, perfectly serviceable. Obviously, they could be a little faster, but we
it's
know what we're
yeah
getting into at this point.
it's not a terrible episode. It just like I think like Family Barbecue feels the most apt
Yeah.
like vibe I got from this. And also I just for anyone who thought like, oh, One Piece is going seasonal, the pacing's gonna be so good, and I'm like, no, this is I mean, the fact that we really
Yeah.
don't get episode recaps anymore is kind of crazy, but even still, it's very I don't want to say plotting, but it's really taking its time. And maybe that just kind of plays into like, oh, I don't feel the stakes. But I don't want frantic pacing like the Fishman Island special episodes.
Mhm.
Like that was too much. But I don't know. And I think it's more I think these are my criticism more with Elbaf than like the actual anime. But I could tell like I think the anime is like saving its energy for something like this Gunko sequence or something
Mhm.
like that. Um so like nothing animation wise really stood out to me. I mean, it looks good, you know, here and there. But yeah, there's not like any standouts for me.
Yeah,
It's weird. I don't
I
know.
was
Like
very
it almost seems like it almost seems harsh to just say like it's very just middle of the road.
Mhm.
But
I was very pleased with the Gunko scenes. I just kind of love it's like Spider-Man meets Bayonetta meets King Crimson.
you
Um
know, with a little bit of with a little bit of Alvida with the sliding around
yeah.
on
Yeah, and
the
then like kind of hovering like the way she like hovers on her arrow during like talking scenes. Almost like
mm-hmm.
she's like a silver surfer just like hanging out on a board.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of there's a lot of angles to this power. It's very undefined power, but that also means that it gets to just kind of be lots of cool different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm decently pleased. Like in an ideal world, this is moving faster than it is right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the next four episodes will be uh more dramatic. I haven't watched
Yeah,
any.
we're coming off like a high of like the Robin Saul reunion where they did kind of add a little extra oomph into
Yeah,
that, like
that was
doing an
extraordinary.
insert song montage and all that. So this is them just like, hey, let's just get this done on time. So
All right. Anything else you want to add before we close out the show?
No, that'll be it
Okay.
from me.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. It's been difficult to organize these anime recaps as of late, so I'm just expecting that we're going to be doing them in batches for the foreseeable future. Just getting them done when we have the ability to do so.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's a format people enjoy. So I feel like there's gonna be plenty of more One Piece breaks coming along. So
All right. Well, thank you, Steve.
thank you, Sam.
Let us move on.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 929. The week of Monday, July 3rd, 2026, or whenever you listen to this show. Apparently people going back and listening to old episodes. That's crazy. But I guess it's all there, I guess, if you sign up to our Patreon. But before I get into plugs, I just want to thank Sam for taking the time today to go over the anime and the heroine special with me. Sam, where could the good people find you?
They can find me on Blue Sky. And not so much Twitter these days.
Finally, just shedding that weight.
Yeah,
shedding that weight. I want to make sure I emphasize I said shedding. Don't bleep it because I didn't curse.
I was watching a Whitest Kids You Know sketch where the whole bit was pooping off the side of a hot air balloon to like lose weight.
That was a show I knew of, but I never really caught. But how'd that work out?
Oh, it was a bad thing for them. They didn't want to get higher.
Oh. And I guess that answers the question if we could get much higher. Remember that old One Piece meme?
Yeah.
I don't know, people probably still do it. Like this podcast, we're still doing it. 17 years going strong. You could find us at our website. That's onepiecepodcast.com. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you could find us. Sign up for our Patreon. That's patreon.com/onepiecepodcast, where you get episodes ad-free. You get bonuses like our sketches for potential episode images and potential episode titles, as well as you could sign up for our $12 sticker club tier. That's curated by me. A new poll should be going up for the month of August very shortly. And if you sign up, if you're signed up at that tier, you can vote, and it's usually open a week long. And you have the whole month to sign up to get the winner of that poll. That's over on our Patreon. Go check that out. Become a patron. Other than that, email. If you want to email us your piece together questions, that's onepiecepodcast@gmail.com. And as for me, you could just go to steveyurko.com, follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram. Username is Steve Yurko. I will be at Anime NYC. I won't be tabling. I'll be at a table though, but if you know, you'll be able to find me. That's my next convention. But other than that, that'll be it for this episode. So for the One Piece Podcast, my name is Steve.
And my name is Sam.
And we'll catch you next time. See you later.
Bye-bye.